Welcome back, everyone. Let's go ahead and do, a quick comparison between the iPhone 6 Plus and the iPhone 6s Plus in 2021. Now, believe it or not, the iPhone 6 Plus is on the right, the 6s Plus is on the left. Probably should have changed the wallpapers or something, but this device, the 6 Plus, came out in 2014, and this one, the 6s Plus, came out in 2015. And there's quite a bit of difference between these, even though they're only 1 year apart. Now, I will find the cheapest phones that I would probably recommend in 2021 and link them down in the description. I probably wouldn't link either one of these, to be honest, but other than that, you can get them from there and help support the channel at the same time. Now, side by side, you can see they pretty much have the exact same thing going on. They have these same 5.5-inch panels, pretty much the same layout too, bezels on the top, bezel on the bottom. Really, the main difference on at least the front, is that apparently the 6s Plus screen was better, but not really. It's like the same thing. But you do have Touch ID 2 on the iPhone 6s Plus, which is still pretty much the most common Touch ID, fingerprint. We've only had Touch ID 1, which is on the 6 Plus, but really only 2 models, well, 3, the SE, the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus, and then the iPhone 5s. Other than that, the Touch ID 2 sensor has been for every single iPhone ever since then. So I think that's pretty cool. And in terms of the front, that pretty much covers it up in terms of this here. Lightning ports on the bottom, headphone jacks on both as well. The iPhone 6s Plus actually also did have Force Touch, which I totally forgot to mention. That it's not even on any iPhones anymore, so it's not really a crazy big deal, but it's still something to consider. In terms of the thinness and thickness, they pretty much are exactly the same. The ruggedness, though, goes for the 6s Plus, because if you remember the bend gate issue that we had on the 6 Plus, that was a pretty big deal. Apple since fixed it on the 6s Plus, but still pretty funny. Single camera setups on the back, aluminum builds, pretty much the same thing. No wireless charging, no IP certification, nothing like that, which is pretty common nowadays. But I would still say it's so funny how similar these two phones are in terms of the outside, but the insides are like, it couldn't be any more different. The biggest difference between these two phones in 2021, and the number one reason why I would recommend going from an iPhone 6 Plus to an iPhone 6s Plus, would honestly be the software. This is probably the biggest difference between these two devices. The iPhone 6 Plus, when it first came out, it started off on like iOS 7 or something like that. Right now, it's on iOS 12. It's not getting any more software versions in terms of full OS updates. It is getting, supplemental security updates through iOS 12, which is cool. So right now we're on iOS 12.5.1, which is great because that was a version of software that we really didn't expect to get on the iPhone 6 Plus. But I'm glad that this phone got support for that long. But when you think about it, this phone is already outdated. Even though it got security updates, it's still outdated. There's really nothing we can do about it. But when we look at something like the iPhone 6s Plus, on the other hand, like, this is a crazy important device. The fact that this phone has this capability of still having software like full OS updates is pretty impressive. Now, with that being said, iOS 14 is said to be, or rumored to be, one of the last versions of software this phone's going to be getting. But on the flip side, I guarantee you that what Apple did with the iPhone 6 Plus series with the iOS 12 security updates, I feel like Apple's going to do the same thing with the iPhone 6s Plus and iPhone SE and the iPhone 6s. So I still don't think this phone is going to be getting, like crazy, unheard of, software. It's not going to be like unknown. Based on what we know with the 6 Plus, it's probably going to end up being the same as I think for the 6s Plus. And this is probably the main reason why I would go from an iPhone 6 Plus to an iPhone 6s Plus in 2021, is because of the software versions, upgrading. I think battery life is about the same too. I think you're going to be getting better battery life from the iPhone 6 Plus. It's a little bit bigger, so that's a pretty big thing to keep in mind too. But I would still say the 6s Plus kills it in terms of the software department. So it's probably the number one reason why I would upgrade. So that pretty much covers it up there. Now let's go ahead and do a speed comparison between these two phones. Pretty funny, okay? The iPhone 6 Plus had that Apple A8 chip inside of it with 1 GB of RAM. The iPhone 6s Plus has that Apple A9 chip inside of it with 2 GB of RAM, the first iPhone to bring 2 gigs. So let's go and see how both of these iPhones pretty much compare right now. Okay, all the apps were cleared out in the background, as you guys could see. Let's start loading them up. Let's do phone calls, 3, 2, 1. And 6s Plus is surprisingly so much faster. Safari, let's just load up whatever page it is. It doesn't really matter. I guess they're both on apple.com or whatever this one is. I can't even see through my viewfinder. And it was YouTube, so we'll probably give that one. We'll just load that one in the background. Music, let's see how fast these ones are. Again, 6s Plus so much faster. iPhone 6 Plus noticeably behind. Let's go and do something like the app stores. 3, 2, 1. And yeah, the 6s Plus definitely was far faster there. iPhone 6 Plus noticeably behind there. This is crazy difference if you think about it. I mean, these are just one generation, 1 year apart, but this is some crazy difference in terms of the performance. iOS 14, iOS 12 here as well. We can do camera, 3, 2, 1. And I actually don't know, they kind of looked about the same there. Let's go and hop out of this one. Let's do Snapchat, 3, 2, 1. And for some reason it didn't open on the, oh, I guess I have to re-download it there. I guess it's not really that big of a deal. Let's go into Temple Run. 3, 2, 1. Now hopefully we're already loaded. Hopefully we're not in the middle of a game because it happens all the time with these type of devices. As you can see, we're pretty much already in the loading panel here. We're pretty much already been loaded. The iPhone 6 Plus definitely was far behind. I mean, look at the amount of difference between these two devices. That was a crazy difference. I was not expecting, and look how choppy it is on the 6 Plus. I'm not really too sure why it's so choppy on that device. The 6S Plus just killed it there. Getting into some gameplay now. Again, this is a pretty basic game, and for it to be glitching this much on the iPhone 6 Plus, it's pretty crazy in my opinion. So I wasn't even expecting to see this big of a difference, but that was quite a bit of a difference if I say so myself. Hopping out of this one, let's go ahead and do Snake versus Blocks. 3, 2, 1. And again, even clicking on the app was so much faster on the 6S Plus. And you can see we are already loaded here. Still loading on the 6 Plus, which is okay, but I mean, there's this like crazy difference. I don't know if this has something to do with the software. This one does have twice the amount of RAM, but I didn't think the A9 chip was that crazy of a difference between the A8. Maybe it was, I really don't remember. But just look at how much glitchiness is going on for the 6 Plus. I mean, it was just so crazy. It's unbelievable, which I'm totally okay with, but it's still crazy to see the amount of difference. Quizlet 321. This is a pretty basic app, so we'll see. So again, the 6S Plus is faster. iPhone 6 Plus, and I will tell you, in this day and age, to be waiting this long for these type of apps is crazy in my opinion. Thank you, 3, 2, 1. And even going to something like the 6S Plus, I mean, even the 6S Plus is kind of old, but it's making this phone look archaic. I mean, the 6S Plus is just lightning fast compared to the iPhone 6 Plus. And you can see again, the 6S Plus is faster. 6 Plus, I guess we're gonna have to wait for a little bit. I can't believe this is crazy. I don't know if it glitched up. Oh, there we go. We finally got into it. I mean, this is a pretty big difference if I'm being honest. Like going from something like an iPhone 6 Plus to an iPhone 6S Plus, you're going to be getting a much better experience on the iPhone 6S Plus for sure. And we can try something like Netflix or whatever this other app was, which I don't have here. And to be honest, I think that really pretty much covers up a majority of the apps that I wanted to test. I mean, I'll go ahead and load up Snapchat here too, just for the sake. And I'll go ahead and start loading these apps up in the background. I mean, we didn't really do a crazy amount, but it's still pretty crazy how much faster the iPhone 6S Plus was. I mean, this is crazy. I didn't even think the iPhone 6S Plus was this crazy of a difference. They both restarted there, but I wouldn't imagine, yeah, the 6S Plus is going to restart that one a little bit faster. Hopping out of here, let's just go back into one more app. Let's do music. And the 6S Plus was able to keep that in the background. The 6 Plus restarted. So I'll definitely tell you, the iPhone 6S Plus is definitely the far faster device. I'm surprised by the iPhone 6S Plus. I wasn't expecting it to do this much better than the iPhone 6 Plus. So in terms of performance, that covers it up. Let's go ahead on the cameras. Now, they both have single camera setups on the back, but they could not be more different. The iPhone 6 Plus had a single wide-angle lens, so did the iPhone 6S Plus. 8-megapixel sensor here, 12-megapixel sensor here, 4K here, only 1080p here. Pretty big differences. Now, in terms of the UIs on both, what I can definitely tell you, look at that cotton swab, was that the iPhone 6S Plus, which is on my left, had a much better camera setup, but you can see they kind of have the same features. There's a little bit of a difference up top, but they pretty much have the same thing going on, But again, the iPhone 6S Plus was the first iPhone to bring 4K at 30. You also have a higher megapixel count on this camera as well, which megapixels are not everything, but that's a pretty big difference. And the 6S Plus, as I always have stated, was an okay camera. I actually use this device. I use the 6S Plus as well, and I've always found that at the time it was an okay sensor. Again, I think I used this in 2016, so it really wasn't like a crazy, long ago, but it was also from when the device was released. And I think at the time I wasn't really complaining too much. I think I mostly was complaining about the front camera, but it's only like a slightly upgraded camera on the 6S Plus. But this camera is still okay for the most part. But for sure, when you consider it, the iPhone 6S Plus by far is the better camera. I mean, you have the ability of shooting 4K at 30, which that in and of itself is a humongous upgrade, and you're still supported with software. So all those other software enhancements that have came through iOS 14, you're getting those type of features on this device too. So that's a pretty big difference in and of itself. So the 6S Plus definitely wins in terms of the camera standpoint. Now, to kind of sum up this video and to answer the question, I mean, should you buy an iPhone 6S Plus in 2021, or should you buy an iPhone 6 Plus or 6S Plus, whichever one I said? I mean, I can definitely tell you the iPhone 6S Plus by far is the better device. I think going from an iPhone 6 Plus to a 6S Plus is a crazy big difference. I mean, these things are kind of around the same price. This is probably like $100, like 90. This is probably like a 130 or 120 or something like that. Not even. This is probably even less than that. This device is still surprisingly so good. Like, I think going from an iPhone 6 Plus to the 6S Plus was one of the biggest differences from any iPhone. And you can see it here again. I mean, I thought, as I said before, the software was the biggest difference, and maybe the performance is tied into the software somehow, but that performance, you guys saw it. It was killing the iPhone 6 Plus. I mean, the 6 Plus was like slaughtered. It was like way more than like twice the amount of performance you're getting from this device. You're getting a better chipset, you're getting more RAM, and you're getting better software. The 6 Plus, I think, is still okay because it still looks kind of good. It feels really good in the hand, but it is a pretty outdated device. It's definitely not getting any more software updates after the 6S Plus is done being supported. But again, I don't think you want to keep a device or have a device that's severely outdated. And that's kind of what you're getting from something like an iPhone 6 Plus. The 6S Plus is still pretty outdated, but you are getting a much better device from this than on the iPhone 6 Plus. So in terms of that, that pretty much covers it up. If you guys have any other questions or you want to purchase any of the phones that I mentioned that I was going to leave in the description, you can get them from there. Like I stated, help support the channel at the same time. Check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my other channels. More importantly, everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.